Welcome to another episode of the Money Wheel Podcast. The journey to wealth starts here with your host, Don Shade.
Hello, my friend and future millionaire. Welcome to this episode of the Money Wheel. My name is Don Shade. Now, in the last episode, Kris went over recording the content for your course. Now, one of the things I want to remind you of as we talk about, putting your content together and recording it and basically creating your sellable program, I want you to remember this. You're not looking to do any kind of sales pitch here. This has to be 100% content that is teaching your student exactly what you want them to learn. And something else I want you to realize, you don't want there to be a bunch of fluff in here. It isn't the length of your course, it's what you teach them in that course. One of the things that I learned early on is I'm very good at putting courses together and training modules, covering stuff step by step. One of the things I'm not good at is running ads and marketing that product. So the reason I bring that up in this podcast is because I don't want you getting ahead of yourself. As you're putting your course together, the main thing I want you to focus on is just the content, nothing else. Make sure you're teaching people exactly what you want them to learn, and make sure it's an easy step-by-step process that they can follow. Always point out the pitfalls. In other words, as you're putting your course together, this or that could happen. Make your student aware of it so they can avoid the mistakes that you made along the way. One of the things when people buy your training or anybody's training, what they're buying is a lifetime of experience. They're buying a roadmap that will turn decades into days just by going through this training. So the main thing that you need to look at is, okay, am I teaching them everything step by step, the details that I would use to put my course together? If I had it to do over again, is this exactly the way I would do it? Have I pointed out where I've stumbled or where I've struggled? Have I pointed out, make sure you do this like this because you're leaving money lay on the table here if you don't do it this way? That's all stuff for you to think about as you're putting your course together. Now, if you have something that is based on a hobby, teaching people how to race remote control cars, something like that, that's a little different than if you're teaching people how to build wealth or how to put a business together, or you're in the health and wellness space, or what you're coaching on, or what your course has to do with. To be honest with you, I would rather have 45 minutes of good content that teaches me how to do something basically A to Z, so to speak, and have no fluff with it when I buy a course, versus 3 hours that I didn't get a whole lot out of except for the same core 45 minutes. Because what I think of when I'm looking at that person's next course or maybe their next product is, well, I had to listen to a lot of stuff that wasn't really important to get the few key points that I was looking for. Now, understand this, when it comes to pricing your training or your package, whatever it's going to be, some of it will come down to the length of what you have, but I want you to make sure that you don't overfill your course with a bunch of fluff, so to speak, that people don't necessarily need. Let's focus on the key points, get them to the position where they can get the end result out of what they bought from you. That's everything I have for this episode. I just wanted you to take the time and think about everything you want to have in your course to walk somebody brand new to the end result in a short amount of time. We'll see you next time on the Money Wheel.
Thank you for listening to the Money Wheel Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and like the podcast. For everything that was talked about in today's amazing show, go to moneywheelpodcast.com and get today's show notes, past episodes, and most importantly, you can connect with Don Shade on all his social media platforms. Again, at moneywheelpodcast.com. If you are just looking to email Don, you can email him at don@moneywheelpodcast.com. For a list of all our tools we use in our business, you can go to moneywheelpodcast.com/resources. Again, thank you for listening to today's podcast, and see you in our next episode of the Money Wheel Podcast.